Thank you very much, Swadeshi. Ray, I was just telling Sudesh before I came up that it's good to see Ray, after now 13 years, I think, yeah. It's been 13 years. Really, it's a great pleasure to see you. But thank you so much for inviting me to speak at this event, which obviously is moving towards closure. I listened to the good part of the last panel and the observations which were made by the two congressmen and the panelists also here. Thank you for inviting me to share my thoughts this evening. I could well take the floor and respond to some of the questions that were raised, but I think that is the job of the panelists to do, so we let them kind of do that. I just wanted to mention some of the specific aspects, but some of the also larger, higher order stuff about the relationship. Contrary to a couple of views we heard in the room, maybe because many of those are not informed by the actual facts on the ground. So it's quite natural for those misperceptions to take place. At a larger level, since we are in one of the congressional buildings, important to remember what my Prime Minister said when he addressed the joint session of the Congress, that we are natural partners not because of geography or compulsions of geography, but because of our shared values. And I think one of the places where those shared values find absolutely bipartisan blessing is the Congress, bipartisan support for the relationship. If you look at the thread of the relationship over the previous decades and through the successive administrations, you will find that each administration has tried, sought, and successfully built on the achievements of the previous administration and set ourselves for the relationship a higher goal, not just in terms of how we approach either politically, but also in terms of what we are able to do most specifically in each of the domains. And there are many anchor points there. There are many drivers in the relationship. And one of the drivers I must point out is a set of transformational journeys that are currently taking place in India. I would say since the government of Prime Minister Modi came in 2014. We have seen a successful series of transformation across the range of economic domain in India, which has become and I think will continue to drive forward the positive aspect of our relationship. You can pick up any domain and you will find a specific area of cooperation. So whether you look at trade or you look at technology, there were references to some generic references made, for example, to the artificial intelligence. Or you look at capital flows, or you look at high-end manufacturing cooperation. Forget the usual commodity-based manufacturing engagement that our two economies have. But if you look at each of those specific areas, you will find massive growth in each of those. Part of it is driven, of course, by the transformations which are taking place in India. So when Prime Minister Modi visited Washington in February last year, one of the targets that we set for ourselves was that we will scale up our bilateral trade from where it was then roughly around $220 odd billion per annum to $500 billion by the end of 2030. So Mission 500 was our target. Defense and security, both in the conventional space, in policy aspect, in terms of what we do at operational level, and also in terms of equipment, you will find is a very rapidly expanding space. Today, India is the largest user of a couple of American platforms outside the US. But this is also coupled by what we are able to do together at an operational level, at the level of various commands in terms of addressing the shared challenges that we face in the defense and security space. And it was with that in mind that the two countries had signed the last year the 10-year framework for defense cooperation, renewed it for another 10 years. I think an upgraded version of what we had actually done earlier. Technology cooperation as a whole and specifics within them have seen tremendous progress, I would say, just in the last 12 to 14 months. If you were to look at the empirical evidence of each of those. So whether you look at what we are trying to do through Pax Silica, what India and US economy are doing through the Indian semiconductor mission, whether it is for the semiconductor chips or it is for the memory space, where Micron within the last 2.5 years, from discussing it with the Prime Minister in June 2023 to commissioning the plant just a couple of months ago, within this short span of 2.5 months, 2.5 years, we have seen establishment of a very critical technology piece developing in India. Critical minerals, there was a reference to it in a bit by the panelists. Both the sourcing part of critical minerals, but also the technology space where the refinement and the processing of critical minerals comes together in our partnership is an extensive space. Civil nuclear, India passed a path-breaking legislation in this space last year, Shanti Bill, which unlocks not just the engagement between the regulators and the two governments, but also unlocks the potential for the private sector partnership in this space. Many of you, Suresh is here, you know very well the role that you yourself personally played in driving the cooperation in this space forward. Electronic semiconductor supply chain resilience is another aspect of our partnership, as both countries look towards deconcentration of supply chain risk from individual geographies to a far more diversified base. This has become a very, very important area of partnership. Satwik, you referred to the question of I think somebody referred to the question of patents, and I think there was a reference here. So just to respond to that part, there are about 2,000 odd GCCs, Global Capability Centers in India. In India, and roughly half of them are actually of the US companies. That gives you a sense of kind of patent and trademark protection and the IP protection at the larger level specifically, which is there in India. So I don't think that really is an issue. And I think last of the anchors, I would mention, there are many others, is the diaspora. I think this is a foundational anchor to the relationship. It's I know it may sound like a cliche, it's a living bridge, but I think your achievements, what you have done for the relationship are prime examples of that particular anchor. So I see it as something very foundational and very structural to our partnership. I'm extremely confident that the strength and the resilience of our partnership will continue to grow, and we will see higher level of achievements, broad-based specific cooperation across different areas of industry and economy. And I would particularly single out, as I said, technology, capital, skilled mobility, and trade between our countries, and of course, stronger and deeper and wider people-to-people ties. Thank you once again for